you know, we're in a war, people. I hope you all understand this. We are in a war. And this park is a monument to fallen soldiers from the world wars of the past century who fought in cold and trenches and mud and horrible conditions. So this year we're here to shift the culture of this country. We gotta be strong. We gotta be able to. I know people. There's the people that are. Sorry. There's a group of people that have been through, I think, much worse than what we're coming out every Saturday for just a couple hours, and that's the children. And the biggest victims in any war are the children. And if you look at a calendar, I looked at it this morning, and just to get a rough idea of how many days they've been sitting at school in muzzles, it's over 300. 300 days, 5, 6, 7 hours a day they've been sitting in school in muzzles. So if we can't handle standing outside once a week for a couple hours in cold, what does that say about us? Right now in Red Deer, we're standing here at the same time as a group in Red Deer. They're holding a rally. The Minister of Education is having a VIP high tea event, fancy hats event, and they're having a protest outside that. These people are mocking us. So we're standing here today in solidarity with the group in Red Deer. Yeah. And, okay, so we're not gonna keep you long here. We have a shorter lineup today. We're gonna get going right off the bat with our first speaker. His name is Devlin. Devlin, are you around?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Even though it looks colder today, it's actually warmer than last weekend. So take that as you will. I wanted to come up here and not read anything, but there's a lot of things I want to say, and I want to make sure that I stick to exactly how I wanted to say it, because I've practiced these words and I want it to hit home to all of you. All right, so I could talk about a lot of things up here today. There's numbers, there's facts, there's science. I could talk about the future, or I could talk about the past and all the things that have pretty much led us to where we are here today. But I know that's something that pretty much everyone here talks about with each other, with family, with friends, almost every day, all the time. So I'm gonna leave you guys with something that I want you to remember. Division is huge in our lives right now. Drives a lot of the things that we have to deal with every day. There's division in pretty much every form. When I stand here every Saturday, that's not what I see at all. I don't see division among us. We are accepting, we're diverse. We are the most open-minded group of people that I've pretty much ever stood with. Let me tell you a story about division. This is personal to me, it's close to my heart, and it's a story about division when there really should have only ever been unity. So this Monday, I lost my grandfather. And my whole family's been mourning this week, but I've turned my mourning and sadness into focus, more or less. And there's been a lot of things that I've thought about. There's a lot of things that I've been angry about on this topic, but at this point, anger's not gonna help, and I'll just summarize exactly what happened. So if you were to ask me how my grandfather died, I'd tell you that he was murdered by a gang of criminals for nothing but money. And those gang of criminals go by the name of Alberta Health Services. They operate under a larger criminal agenda run by the United Nations and the World Health Organization. Our health policy is not even being driven by our own country in any way. So I'll summarize what happened. My grandpa, a man who rode his Harley Davidson down to these rallies every Saturday and stood among us, a man who was a free thinker. He worked for SAIT for 20 years and set up institutions and schools all over the world as the communication director. He went all over the place and is well learned. He was a critical thinker. This man did many things for many people, and he formulated his own opinion about anything he ever thought about. He caught COVID a month ago. He told me he had no respiratory issues at all. I talked to my grandpa every day over text for over a year, and for much longer than that, obviously. But he told me every day that he got sick, everything that was going on with him. I have a headache, my body's sore, I have muscle aches, I can't roll around because my skin's annoyed in bed. But he told me, I'm so surprised I have no respiratory issues, no cough, no nothing. So, days go by, he's sending me YouTube links, he's texting me, he's commenting on the videos I record from our rallies. And then one day, to my surprise, I get a text message and I find out that 8 hours prior, my step-grandmother, 3 times vaccinated, dropped him off at the emergency room at Foothills. And that was it. From that point forward, I knew I wasn't going to see my grandpa again. Within 48 hours, he was intubated and comatose, even though his last blood oxygen level was 93%, which, if you know anything, intubation is only meant to increase your blood oxygen level. 93% is the average senior citizen that walks around or lives their daily life. There's no need for intubation. So we find out this is where the division starts to take hold. Nobody that's not vaccinated can visit the ICU. So can't go in there, can't see my grandpa. And that just divides our family. Now my grandmother, again, 3 times vaccinated, she's my step-grandma, his second wife, is convinced that the part of my family that's not vaccinated has convinced my grandpa that vaccines are bad and he's crazy and anti-vaccine because of us, even though this man was at rallies before I ever even came down to them. So, again, divided the family entirely. She's the only one who was able to tell the doctors what they can do with him. She's his significant other. And she tells the hospital that my family and the people who are not vaccinated are not even allowed to call the hospital and ask for updates. And the hospital happily obliged, easily. And so my mother, his firstborn child, can't even call the hospital and ask anything. The hospital will tell her, no, you're not authorized, that's it. Boom, hang up. So, going forward, he never woke up. They had agreed to start waking him up the day after intubation. So, 2-week-long protocol of intubation is what you're supposed to go through. And they agree because our family's begging my grandmother to get them to wake him up. They're like, sure, we'll wake him up the day after. Because that makes sense. How's that going to help him at all? All they did was check a box on a piece of paper that marked intubated. And that hospital got money sent to them, just like all the other patients that get intubated. It's how it goes. The only thing we found out, the last thing we find out before we can't get information, is he's on remdesivir from the moment he was in the hospital. Just as much of you here just groaned inside, if you don't know what it is, it's an experimental emergency use drug only authorized for use in this pandemic that has been just giving terrible side effects to anybody who uses it, mainly kidney failure. So within 2 weeks of coma and intubation, his kidneys are failing. Full dialysis. Perfectly healthy man prior to this. 2 weeks later, he has a stroke, and that's it. He's done. So they offer me to watch these murderers calling themselves doctors pull the plugs on his life support and stand around with my brainwashed family who thought that they were going to be doing anything good for him this whole time. So I said no, obviously. I didn't go there. I would rather remember my grandfather as the man that I knew him as, a strong, brave man who unified my family and would stand here with us today if he could be here. He was 71 years old. So, outside of that, it's a long personal story, I know. What I want to say today is that our goal when we gather at these things today, we need to set aside everything besides the one reason why we're here. Freedom. And I'm saying that just for when we gather. These things don't have to be set aside in your daily life. It's for when we gather here. We gather for unity and for freedom. We can put aside our medical opinions and the science, as they call it, for now. Those Karens that are gonna fight you on the street behind a mask and middle finger and swear at you, we need to just let it be. Accept them in. That's how we're gonna be different today. That's how we as a people are gonna be different, because we accept any and all. We do not divide. We do not segregate. We do not judge people by the mainstream divisors that they've pushed on all of humanity. It's gonna take suffering for people to change on a personal level. Humans love to not fix things until they're broken. And that mentality translates into needing to suffer for change. Pain is the most powerful inspiration for change, and it can be a big, big part of this. It's what people are going to have to need to wake up, because we can tell story after story to people and they'll choose to live behind the veil that has been placed over humanity willingly. And we all have chosen to never live behind that veil again. We will burn that veil from in front of their eyes with the fire for freedom and make them see. So going forward, I just want to say, people love to say that this is a fight of good versus evil. And I won't say that they're wrong. It's accurate, but here's how I see it. Evil has no counterpart. There is no equal to evil. There is only the absence of evil. And that absence is filled with nothing but positivity. You get creativity, religion, spirituality, all the positive things fill the absence of evil and stand united against it. And that is what we all embody here today. So it's not a light versus dark battle. It's not a fight at all. It's a marathon. And we're all gonna pass the baton from one another until we win the race.
Yes.
The fire for freedom burns at the end of that finish line, and the closer that we get, the shine will be bright on us, and the darkness will not be able to prevail. So just keep fighting, everyone.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that he said it. He called it what happened to his grandfather's murder. We got to start, if we aren't already, using the right language. We got to keep speaking the truth and the right words. I know there's a need at times for the soft approach, calling medical discrimination, freedom of choice. I know we use that language, but really, guys, this is premeditated murder, what's going on. This is war that's going on, and we're here to spread that truth. Our next speaker is Alice. Alice. Here she is. Thank you.
We have come to awareness over the last 18 months that certain others want to isolate our body, mask our body, and inject our body, but nobody has the right to control another person's freedom. Freedom starts in our minds. You know, I'll never forget my first rally. It was at City Hall. I went alone and I knew no one. And yet I knew I had found my people. I remember feeling so uplifted after that first rally. I was understood and I wasn't alone in my viewpoints. However, each time I went home after a rally, I would feel frustrated, not knowing how I could make a difference. Naively, I actually thought to myself, who's leading this thing? And isn't somebody going to tell me how to be a freedom fighter? Because I just didn't get it. I eventually realized that I needed to figure out this on my own, as we all do. Little did I know at that time that I would be losing almost all of my different communities that I belonged to. I think we could pretty much all relate to that. But you know, one door closes and another one opens wide. Over the next 18 months, going to rallies became my lifeline and new community. The frustration on what to do, though, continued. Slowly, I started to realize that I couldn't look outside of myself to be led, to be rescued, or to feel relief. Freedom, turns out, wasn't outside of myself. It was in me. One of my personal challenges that I've had to overcome was that I can't wear a mask and haven't. I'm also highly triggered by seeing masks on faces. So going shopping has not been a lot of fun some days. especially the day Costco said they'd call the cops on us if we went in. So of course, we went in, and of course they called the cops on us. My anxiety in that moment was through the roof. Long story short, we weren't arrested, and more importantly, I actually started practicing standing up for my rights and freedoms in that moment. This past August, when the mask mandates were lifted, I was absolutely thrilled because finally I could feel free to go out without anxiety, not be confronted, not be harassed or discriminated against. And better yet, no one else would be wearing a mask either. I remember walking into a retail shop and being shocked to see that people were masking up. I had expected that, when the mandate was lifted, things would be a little bit more normal, and in that moment though, I realized that these people were enslaved. Not because of politicians telling them what to do, but because they had actually, if you can imagine, freely chosen their enslavement. They weren't free in their mind, their body, or their soul. And me? Well, I wasn't free either, because I believed that when the mandates were lifted, I too would feel free. But it just doesn't work that way. Why? Because I'm the only one that can free myself. I invite you all for a moment to just imagine with me, what if you woke up tomorrow and because we had fought the good fight, all the restrictions were lifted. There were no more vax passes, there were no more masks, and we regained our freedom. Would we really feel free? Or, let's say we wake up tomorrow and nothing had changed. Would we feel free then? Well, maybe, maybe not. You see, we have the capacity to feel free right now, to fully understand, integrate, and know deep down that no government gave us freedom at birth. It was always our God-given right. So on a practical level, how can we do this? I believe it starts by practicing. Just like any new skill, we need to practice believing that we can exercise our free will each and every day in all situations, even when being harassed at Costco. This sounds harder than it actually is. When I first started practicing this skill, I did it awkwardly. I'd allow my anger and judgment of others to get the best of me. Yet over time, by practicing this, because it really didn't come naturally to me, I now feel calmer and at ease standing up for my freedom. I think by now, we have all tasted the frustration of trying to awaken someone to their freedom. The problem is we can't give what we don't have. If we truly understand and embody our freedom, truly know in our minds, hearts, and souls that we were born free and no one, not a fellow citizen, not some politician, not those in some sort of authority can take that away from us, then and only then can we offer up guidance to somebody else to help them attain their freedom. So in closing, this week I invite and encourage all of you to think free, act free, be free, own it, find your way, because you can do this. There's not enough time to list 50 or more ways that you can take action on this, so I'll only share one. This week when you are walking around without a mask, do this one radical thing. Smile at someone. This one radical action can ripple out and impact that other person, a community, and this whole city. Because not only are you sharing your joy, but you're modeling what freedom looks like. When we think free, act free, and be free, we give others permission to do it, even if it's subconscious. In 1 week, by all of us modeling what freedom looks like, day to day, we will not only further the movement, but just as importantly, you will feel the confidence and courage to deeply know you are already free and always were. So remember, free people free themselves and others. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. All right, next up we have a young man who's driven down from Red Deer to speak with us today. Please welcome Gavin.
Hello, freedom fighters! Oh my gosh, there are a lot of crazy conspiracy theorists out here that have been right time and time again. You're probably wondering, who is this crazy guy and what on earth are you wearing? So that's a logical question, so I'll answer it. My name is Gavin, I'm from Red Deer. Yeah, that does explain it. I've been in the freedom fighting community for a little while, and you know, I'm just your average crazy, white, straight, cis, nationalist, anti-vaxxer based male. Oppressive male, I should say, oppressive male. It's funny how all these arbitrary dividers that we use can, you know, make such a tense situation like what we're seeing. And then the reason I'm wearing this ridiculous costume is I made a song. It's a rap song. It's called Get Triggered, all caps with exclamation point, and by Gritty, Gritty. And it's basically a diss track to COVID. So yeah, anyway, I'm not trying to shill that on you guys, even if all you checked it out. Just the way that streaming services work, I'd make about $5, but it's more about spreading an idea. So first, I want to address the people that aren't here, or some of the people that are orchestrating like what is taking place. So this is a message for the haters, essentially. You know, human beings, we're a lot like sharks. And you know, it sounds kind of weird, but sharks are generally not violent. And I don't believe the humans are either. But if you keep getting pushed and abused, eventually you will defend yourself. So to anyone out there that's pushing these lies or trying to manipulate people, or you know, create this struggle that we're in, you're facing you're facing a lot of strength and a massive group and a massive community of people that will stand up and that will fight for their freedom. It just dawned on me the other day. It's easy to get caught up in this victim mindset with what is currently taking place in Canada. But we are not victims. We are not victims. And sorry guys. I'm actually, you know, I used to be terrified of public speaking, so I've come a long way through this whole movement. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy when you get up and you get the deer in the headlights, and you kind of forget what you were gonna say. But yeah, so yeah, it just dawned on me the other day. You know, like we could be storming the beaches of Normandy right now. So you don't want to get caught up in this victim mindset. The Oppression Olympic Games are already full, and this is a tool used by our system to divide us and to keep us disempowered. Mindset is huge. If we believe we are at a disadvantage, we'll create this in reality. Why strive to be the weakest? Life is hard, and you do not want it to be easy, because struggle is what makes you strong. So in the words of Julius Caesar, carpe diem, seize the day. You still have a voice. You still have a free mind, a beating heart. And life is not over until you take your last breath. It's easy to feel like this fight we're in is insurmountable. This struggle is not unique to mankind. It's the same fight humans have always dealt with in power structures since the beginning of time. It's the peasants versus the monarchs, the slaves versus the masters, the serfs pushing back against the pharaohs. We have beat it before, and we will beat it again. It's a part of our psychology of being human, and it's a part of life. We have fallen out of balance, and we've gathered here today to push back against the corruption that has infected our institutions. Never will mankind escape the struggle for power, just as we will never escape temptation or greed. But I think we can do a hell of a lot better than what we're experiencing right now. Be strong. Stand tall. Don't let the media or the psychological mind games throw you off. We will beat this like the greats of the past, with integrity, with intelligence, with kindness, without violence, and with strength. Channel this inner ancestral primal power to defend your territory, to defend your next meal, to defend your rights. You know, I was born in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm super proud to see the people standing up for their rights. The tension over there, it's nuts, and it's sad that our governments and our institutions have put us in this position to be this desperate. I saw a video and they did a repeat after me speech, and I found it quite powerful. So my goal is, I'd like us to recreate that, and I'd actually like the entire freedom movement internationally to do it, because I think that it's a way that we can show we're all united. Like, it's easy to, you know, look around and you see the videos, you're like, okay, they're all for the same movement. But if you're showing your friend, they're just like, oh, it's just a bunch of people protesting and complaining. They don't really, you know, they don't really see the unity in that. So anyway, I digress. So if you guys would repeat along with me, we can help spread the message together. We are one. We are one. But we are many. But we are many. And from all the lands on earth we come. And all lands on earth we come. We share a dream. We share a dream. And sing with our voice. And sing with our voice. I am. I am. Let me hear that again. I am. One more time. I am. You are. You are. We are. We are. Canadians! Okay, let's get out there and crush a good march. I love you guys. Keep your chins up, and remember, every single day is a gift. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. All right, guys, we got one more speech and then just a couple announcements. We have a parent here who would like to speak, Mary Jane.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mine is pretty short, so no worries. I know everybody's getting cold. I'd first like to thank Jennifer, Courtney, and Ryan for inviting me to come speak today. I also want to acknowledge the organizers of Calgary Freedom Central and Families for Choices. Both of these groups are doing amazing work and putting endless time and effort towards protecting our rights and freedoms here in Canada. Thank you both for giving us a voice to be heard. I'm here today to tell you a story about a personal experience we had since the vaccine mandates have been put into place. I have 6 children whom I love and cherish dearly. Today I'm going to tell you about one of them, my 14-year-old daughter, Jerry Lynn.
Stay strong! You got it! Hey, you got it!
Jerry Lynn is a sweet and caring girl who watches over her 2 younger sisters by helping them with homework, playing games with them, and consoling them when they're down. Jerry Lynn also does her own homework, practices her piano, cleans her room, does dishes and laundry without ever being told to do so. She's a true godsend in our household and to our family. As a grade 9 student that has held honors with distinction in all classes throughout elementary and junior high school, her main passion has always been to dance. Jerry Lynn started dancing at 3 years old, and by the time she was 8, she was attending 12 hours of dance classes a week, and continued to do so until this past September. Jerry Lynn is at an advanced foundation level for ballet and is also an advanced tap dancer. She has traveled to Chicago to take workshops with some of the best tappers in the world. And in 2019, Jerry Lynn was selected to represent Canada in Germany at the World Championships for tap dancing. Outside of school, Jerry Lynn was constantly dancing. This year, her dancing took a turn. When Jerry Lynn started her ballet classes in September, the director of the ballet school she attended started their first class by asking the 8 advanced dancers who was vaccinated. All the students put up their hands except for my daughter. The director then curtsied to the students who had received the vaccine. Next, she turned to my daughter and asked her if she was planning to get the vaccine. Jerry Lynn replied, "I don't know." My daughter felt not only singled out, but embarrassed and discriminated against. She is not one to make a fuss or cause commotion. She's a peaceful and quiet young lady, and therefore did not complain. I, however, complained. A child's vaccine status... Thank you. A child's vaccine status is private health information. How is it okay? How is it okay to ask a student in front of classmates such a personal question, then punish the student by embarrassing them for giving an honest answer? By the end of September, vaccine mandates were in place, and not only was my daughter not allowed to attend any of her ballet classes, she also had to stop her tap classes. The test they required every 72 hours is also invasive and not appropriate for a young person to take who is healthy and merely trying to pursue their dream. Ridiculous. As loving parents, we made a joint decision to not inject our children based on the best data available. And as a result of many hours of research, we all had the illness COVID-19. We recovered and have the antibodies protecting us from getting or spreading COVID. This I am grateful for. I'm grateful that we had the illness, and so we absolutely do not require these injections. Jerry Lynn continues to practice her dance at home on her own through the Royal Academy of Dance videos as she waits for the injection mandates to be crushed. Jerry Lynn also teaches her younger sisters who are 8 and 11 years old. They also had to quit dance classes because I was not allowed to bring them into the building or pick them up for classes. Will Jerry Lynn ever be able to attend dance classes again? We don't know. But one thing she said she's sure of is that no matter how much she loves dance, she values her freedom more. She fully believes standing up for her freedom as well as her faith is the core of who she is. She is often reminded of her own grandmother and what she went through when she was 14 years old while living in the Soviet Ukraine, when citizens were punished for not agreeing or complying with communist authorities. As Canadians, we can't even fathom this is happening in our own country, yet sadly it is. But this is just one story. How many thousands of teenagers in Alberta have been stripped of their dreams, goals, and aspirations due to the vaccine mandates? These teenagers who have remained strong and not given in to pressure in order to stand for freedom are our heroes, and I thank them for being an inspiration to us all. It's inconceivable how all levels of government are willing to shun children from society and make innocent, kind, and talented teenagers feel as though they're doing something wrong when they're not. Instead, governments should be encouraging young people to educate themselves in order to make good, informed decisions, so to become willful, contributing members of our communities. I strongly urge, in particular, the Alberta government to give back our children their right to live free and happy lives, enabling them to fulfill their dreams, ambitions, and by removing all vaccine mandates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a quick announcement from Barrett for the U of C students here.
Hey everyone, my name is Barrett, and I'm currently attending the University of Calgary. As many of you already know, unvaccinated students are either already or soon to be banned from attending their campuses across all post-secondary institutions in Alberta. After thousands of hours of work and thousands of dollars spent, we are willing to walk out. This Tuesday at 1 p.m., we're going to go down to the University of Calgary campus and tell them exactly how we feel. Students, you need to come out. You need to tell them how you feel. If you need more information, the student booth is right over there. I'll see you then.